Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the latest edition of RE314, where I take old stories I've narrated and update into modern audio standards. This particular story is called Veterans, written by Zephylandantis. "What's up with him?" Jiro asked the squaddies that sat with him around the campfire as he gestured to the newest reinforcement, who was seated in the shadows just outside of reach of the light and warmth of the flaming wood. "I don't know," Ashra muttered, focusing on heating his food ration pack on the heated stones around the rim of the fire. "Maybe he just isn't up for this kind of job," she shrugged as she dipped a claw into the foil bag and tested the temperature by licking the contents of a claw. "He literally landed 10 hours ago. What could possibly have spooked him this early?" Jiro kept his voice down to avoid the newbie hearing him. "All we've done is head 20 clicks out of the base, in a straight line, mind you, and set up camp. Based on his reactions, we should have been in direct fire exchange for half a day." Jiro leaned back on his log and whispered, "Watch this." Then he grabbed his field spade and lobbed a large piece of ember towards the newbie, who instantly grabbed his rifle, which was leaning against his shoulder, and dodged past 2 trees in the perimeter of the camp, only to take a prone shooter's cover behind the third one. "A bit jumpy there, newbie," he laughed as the others joined him in his mirth. The newcomer didn't answer. He merely swept the perimeter with his scope and settled in against his newfound tree, this time with his rifle leaning against the other's shoulder. "What's the noise about?" Drake popped his head out of the only tent in the camp. As a squad sergeant, he'd been adamant that his teammates shared the tent. He was a strong believer in the concept of packing light. The newbie wasn't. He'd packed enough munitions to level a small city and insisted on splitting it up between the hover carrier and himself. Jiro estimated that the new guy was carrying half his naked body weight in projectiles. "Just hazing the new guy, Sarge." Jiro let the joviality shine through. Drake sighed to himself and threw a quick side-eye on the newest addition to the squad before he walked over to the fire, where he squatted down and rested his 3-digit pincers on his knees. "I'd probably not do that," he said quietly. But Ashra had, with his newest addition, passed on the role of newbie and had been looking forward to not being the butt of the joke every time. Really, Jiro had known his sergeant since the academy. 3 years of crawling through the mud on an alien planet next to him. Experience had taught him that if Drake thought something was a bad idea, it usually was. "We've been doing this for what? 2 years at the academy and then 3 here, yes?" Most of the squad nodded. "Are we veterans?" Drake looked at the 4 faces around the camp. "Most start feeding the local ecosystem after 3 months, Jiro stated calmly. "So yeah, we are vets." Drake looked at the newcomer. He had read the personnel file. The tiny single-digit percentage that wasn't blacked out, redacted, or outright deleted told him that First Class Corporal Hamish McPhee was an advanced scout of the Human Offensive Logistics Initiative Elite Scout Cybernetic Enforcement's Tactical Division. It also informed him that McPhee drew his first breath over 300 years before he had taken his own, and that the soldier, currently placed on the outskirts of his camp, carefully observing the tree line, had liberated his people from enslavement when his great-great-grandsire was just a newborn. The one thing it had reminded him of at the beginning of each paragraph was that the information was strictly confidential and that sharing any of the knowledge with anyone not cleared for it would result in immediate termination. "Just don't," he sighed and semi-crawled over to McPhee, making sure to stay under the human sightline. "This seat taken?" he asked as he nodded towards the empty spot next to McPhee. "Nope," came the answer. No emotion, just a reply. "Good track today." Drake wanted to ask a million questions, but only one was of importance. Unfortunately, it was one of those questions that didn't naturally blend into a conversation. "Yep," McPhee didn't waste words. "This is a good campsite, a good find." Drake offered a sincere compliment, hoping to get any emotion or even emotional analog from the human. McPhee turned his head and looked at the sergeant. "I didn't find it. I tracked the ones who had secured the perimeter, killed them, secured the site, cleared the mines and set up a defensive perimeter, and removed their camp," he stated flatly. "I suspected as much." Drake sighed and leaned against the tree trunk a little harder. He could feel the heat from the rifle barrel radiate towards him. "You guys are a legend," he says quietly. "Your tales are whispered with respect around campfires throughout the galaxy. I wouldn't know." McPhee replied with the same cold air he'd used so far. It's always the same. Wake up, briefing, preparations, insertion, mission, exit, debrief, and then back to stasis. They sat in silence for a while. This mission, Drake broke the silence. He had to know. We're tasked with breaking the secondary supply line. He couldn't finish it. It's not a supply line. McPhee looked at the sergeant. Then you don't have neither the man nor the firepower to break it. Do I want to know? Drake asked quietly, fearing the answer. No. The human super veteran elite scout slowly rose to his feet and grabbed his rifle. If you don't kill the fire and go very, very quiet, you'll be dead in an hour. What about you? Drake knew the human was leaving. I'll either be dead or extracted in 5 hours. Thanks for the lift, though. McPhee smiled, and just before he faded into the darkness that wasn't threatened by the flickering light of the campfire, he gave a final goodbye. It was nice talking for once. End of story. I would like to thank our T5 members and patrons, Casper Arnholtz, John Creighton, Vidmori, 050, Dragzoon WRE, and Elijah Silvercross. Thank you very much.